All right, now the Supreme Court has slammed the Archaeological Survey of India for its bizarre rationale for the discoloration of the Taj Mahal. ASI told Supreme Court that flying algae is what is responsible for the Taj to be discolored. Let's go across to Apurva for more details. Apurva, Supreme Court, of course, has come down heavily on the ASI and the bizarre rationale for the discoloration as far as the Taj is concerned.
Well, absolutely. In fact, the Supreme Court, in a very scathing observation, has slammed the Archaeological Survey of India for remaining absolutely clueless as the Taj Mahal loses marble color. In fact, these were the observations that were made by the court in response to petitioner MC Mehta, who asked for a detailed response as to the manner in which the Taj Mahal is really being maintained, with so many details really coming out of the manner in which the discoloration is really happening. And that is the reason the top court slammed the ASI for not giving very convincing answers as to why the monument, the iconic Taj Mahal, is fast losing its marble color. In fact, it also asked what is the real problem and why there are green patches on the Taj's surface which have been formed, to which the Supreme Court did not really find very good response. Now, Justice Loka, who also reported about some flying algae which was being presented by the lawyer of the ASI, conveniently saying that these answers are not convincing at this point, and really the ASI needs to pull up and understand what is the real problem and address it at the earliest, especially with iconic monuments like Taj Mahal, which has been a symbol of love. And that is the reason the Supreme Court has now come down heavily on the ASI, asking them to come up with concrete steps to preserve such monuments.
Right, and Apurva, meanwhile, what are the experts saying in terms of as far as the preservation of Taj is concerned, and what actually needs to be done?
Well, at this point, of course, there has been a long-standing debate on what really needs to be done, especially with Taj Mahal, which has been in the news, especially regarding the preservation and how the discoloration of marble is the key concern. Even the pollution at this point is a factor that is to be taken in. But according to the experts, there has to be a lot of process, there has to be a lot of research that really needs to be done,
right, especially
to understand how this particular monument can be preserved in the light of rising pollution levels and in the light of so many problems that are really there, especially in terms of the preservation. Now, remember, one of the observation talks about how there are algae there. Now, the first and foremost question would be, why was there no preservation methods adopted to even remove those algae which have been breeding at that point?
Right.
So clearly, right now, there's a lot of lackadaisical attitude of the ASI, which is also coming in front, which the Supreme Court has highlighted in its observation as well, slamming the ASI for not doing enough to preserve such iconic monuments.
All right, thanks Apurva for getting us all of that. Let's also go across to Vimnendu Jha, environmentalist, who's joining us on the phone line. Thanks very much, Vimnendu, for joining us. First off, how do you respond to the rationale that the Archaeological Survey of India has given, saying that, you know, it's flying algae that is responsible for the discoloration of the Taj?
See, every day in the last couple of hearings, every time ASI comes up with a new reason / excuse. No doubt there is pollution. There's Yamuna, because of which, of course, there's mosquito excreta and algae that is creating some kind of a problem. But that's also the responsibility of ASI to really not let the situation become this worse. So one of the observations that the Supreme Court made is that what was ASI doing all this while? And I would say that, you know, it's a joint failure of every department, because if you look at Supreme Court has also reprimanded the city authority, the Agra authority, in terms of how the buffer zone has been violated. There's been construction of hotels and of factories in the area where there should be no construction at all. So I think it's a joint failure of ASI and also the local authority there.
So, Vimnendu, what, in your opinion, actually needs to be done? Concrete steps that are possible?
So first thing is that, if you have to save Taj, Taj cannot be saved within the boundary walls of Taj Mahal. Anything that happens around Taj Mahal also affects Taj Mahal. So we need to really look at the way Supreme Court has earlier in its judgment said that, all kinds of construction, air pollution needs to be looked at, not just what happens inside Taj Mahal, but also in Agra in that sense. And that holistic approach is extremely important, which is very, very compromised when it comes to Agra. Agra is, again, one of the most polluted cities that we have in the country. The second is, of course, Yamuna is in a dead state, and it is not just affecting the mosquito breeding that is affecting Taj Mahal, but also the base of Taj Mahal. So Yamuna, which is completely black, completely dead, and therefore minimum flow has to be ensured in the river overall, but especially in this case, because Taj Mahal is just there and it is directly visibly affecting Taj Mahal, there needs to be minimum flow that needs to be ensured. So two things, of course, plantation, greening activities that needs to be ensured, and no construction allowed in the buffer zone, point number one. And point number two is that Yamuna needs to have minimum flow allowed. And then all the authorities, be it the Agra Development Authority, the Agra Administration, and ASI, needs to understand their responsibility and accountability towards this entire monument.
And also, what about the suggestion of appointing an external or perhaps an international committee or experts who know more about preservation of such monuments rather than, the ASI, which we are hearing these kind of bizarre theories from?
See, I think there's a lack of political will and lack of urgency that we see on the part of ASI, and that's the reason why Supreme Court said that, we need to throw out ASI if need be, because they're not doing the job that they're supposed to be doing. I think, of course, we need to save Taj. The way it's been decaying year after year, it's really alarming. And that's where, out of desperation, is where Supreme Court said that perhaps we need to really bring in experts from outside or people outside of ASI to really save Taj.
Vimlendu, in fact, stay on the line with us. I'm going to take your point across to Shaina NC of the BJP, who's joining us on the phone line. Thank you very much, Shaina, for joining us this morning. Vimlendu was just saying that there seems to be a lack of political will as far as preservation of the Taj is concerned. How do you respond to that?
Firstly, we all are in tandem when it comes to not just the retaining of the Taj's original heritage, but also understanding that there are certain factors, whether it is algae fly, as the Supreme Court has suggested. And I think that we need to take stock of the situation. This is not about the central archaeological body. This is about the larger interest as a national heritage site, as a wonder of the world. And I think that maintaining and repairing monuments is something that we are not shuddering from. The problem is that the ASI must also accept that there has been a problem. This situation has arisen because of multiple issues, and we need to sort it out collectively. I mean, the world-renowned white marble mausoleum is always going to be in an area of jeopardy when it comes to flying algae. I think that there are parts of the floor which have been dirty because of people walking there. They give socks, but there are certain people who go in with their own socks. So I think all these issues need to be addressed collectively. And the government has suggested on multiple occasions disposable socks, the kind that people are provided when they're visiting monuments abroad. There has to be an acceptance and there has to be a collective consciousness. I think that, when the judges talk about this big problem, we take it in good spirit. Our only endeavor would be that the Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan, who made this monument for his wife Mumtaz Mahal, stays alive. But how did this algae reach the top part is another question.
Right. But Shaina, do you agree that the ASI is not, doing the duty properly as far as preservation and maintenance of the Taj is concerned?
I wouldn't agree totally, because the question is, how did the algae fly there? I mean, how did it reach the top? So last week when the Supreme Court saw the photographs of the 17th century stunner, so to say, the concern expressed about pollution and the apathy is a collective consciousness, so to say. So it has to be the people who are visiting, the people who are taking care, which is the archaeological department. And if we need to have separate expertise from outside, we would be welcome to take the suggestions.
So is that something that is being planned, to get international experts to help figure out what is the best way to take care of this monument?
Well, absolutely. I don't think there's a question in doubt. You have two honorable judges, M.B. Lokar and Mr. Deepak Gupta, who gave their opinion on this monument. And I don't think that the government's attitude has been that, oh, what we're doing is absolutely right. We have to move with the times and understand that there have been certain areas, whether it's flying algae or whether it's the inconvenience caused by certain visitors who refuse to wear socks on the white marble. But I think if we really look at the tombs of Shah Jahan and Mumtaz that are located in the lower levels of the mausoleum, they are also an area of concern, because the discoloration is a concern for not just the government, but for even historical experts.
All right, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much, Aina NC and Vimlendu, for joining us on that.